Welcome to the Leafy Podcast, helping real estate investors and entrepreneurs grow. Say hello to your hosts, Jennifer Gligoric and Brian Price, founders of Leafy Legal Services, teaching you how to protect your assets, grow your business, and manage your wealth. Let's start the show.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Leafy Podcast. Thank you so much for listening in today. We have yet another amazing guest, and on the line with us today as our host is Jennifer Gligoric, COO from Leafy Legal Services, and I will go ahead and pass it on to her so we can get started today. Jennifer?
Hey, Leafy Podcast fans. We are here today with someone who's just absolutely incredible, and you're going to want to talk to him. He's a 3-time best-selling author of Real Estate on Your Terms, The New Rules of Real Estate Investing, as well as Real Estate Investing for Women with Monica Sawyer. He's also the founder and CEO of SmartRealEstateCoach.com and host of the Smart Real Estate Coach podcast. So he's been in real estate for over 30 years. He's constructed it. He's done all sorts of deals. And we're going to talk to him now. He flips about 2 to 5 properties a week in a family-run business. So this is or he purchases 2 to 5 properties a week in a family-owned business. So we're going to talk to him about that and get coached, which is what we all need to have happen. So let us all welcome Chris Prefontaine. Welcome, Chris.
Thanks for having me.
Actually, Chris and I have known each other for a while, and we met years ago at the same place that I met my CEO. But Chris, so tell us how you got into real estate investing. Just give us a little bit of your journey. We always love that.
Yeah, I'll give you a 10,000 foot view so I don't put everybody to sleep because that's a long time. Yeah, I started in the early 90s. We were building homes, what I called spot building. We would just build it'd be a subdivision done and we'd build one house. But here's the catch. We would build it without using money. The owner would wait for the money in the land. All the contractors would wait. We'd pre-sell the home, build it, and at the very end, everybody got paid. So that was pretty cool. We were doing things on terms then without even knowing that's what we were doing. I was too young to know. Then I bought a Realty Executive Franchise, kind of strapped on the broker hat as a realtor, which is totally different than being a builder. It's kind of like the opposite end of the street. So we did that. We sold that to Coldwell Banker in 2000, and then started working on our own investments and coaching people throughout North America, so U.S. and Canada. However, that led to the great debacle of 2008, and we got our teeth kicked in, learned a lot of lessons, and because of that, started buying real estate and selling real estate and teaching how to do that the way we are now, all on terms. That means no banks. That means no using your credit, signing personally, and no using your own money. Okay. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Because the people who haven't heard about that, they're all like, what? Yeah. You know what? It's funny. We went to this would have been in July. We went to a invite only group, and the group was, except for us, all what they call wholesalers, where they're just flipping contracts. And there was some people doing 20 million. These are big players. That's why they were invited. So we got invited to it. My son, Nick, and my son-in-law, Zach, and they were looking at us like, you guys do what? The terms thing didn't even resonate with them. And they were big players. So it means this. When I say terms and no money and no banks, it means we're either buying a lease purchase or we're buying owner financing. But when we buy owner financing, it's always principal only payments, no interest. So that's like a niche within a niche. Right. That's why you don't need banks. We carry 50 or 60 properties ourselves at any one time that are kind of being cashed out eventually 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road. But none of those are we ever on a loan, signing personally or using money for. And then our students do the same all around North America. Wow, that is a really interesting niche. And so you're coaching people on how to do this as well, correct? Yeah, we actually coach, Jennifer, but we do it with them too. So we literally lock arms and get in the trenches with them on some of our programs. So I'll give you an example. There's a new girl, Laura, today, texting me back and forth. She's got her second deal. She's in Tennessee. And so she'll, what do I say next? How do I do this? Can you call them? So we're doing the deal with them, especially when they're new. Right. Oh, that's excellent. Because that's what we get. We have people that come to us to set up the right structure so they can protect themselves, do things anonymously, just have a better structure setting up so they have the best chance of success. Yeah. Especially when you're new and you're making mistakes.
that's the time that you really can get hooked up, and it can cut you off before you even get started.
Big time.
So that's excellent that there's somebody like you out there. What do you talk to people who are like want to do it part-time? Like, how do you get started in this game if you're currently working a 9 to 5, but you're like, I'm really interested in this. You're listening to all the podcasts, you're following people. How do you, let's talk about typical, how you can get started, and then how you can make the transition into full-time.
Yeah. So most of our students are part-time. I'll get asked all the time on our support platform saying, what if I can't be full-time? Okay. Most people are not. So we help them structure a game plan, we call it, but we help them structure like anywhere between 8 and 15 hours a week, depending on their goals, right? To make sure that they're managing their expectations. It's not a get rich quick. So we got to make sure that matches their brain as far as what they want to accomplish. And then we start them out on lease purchase, because lease purchase, you're not closing on a property. So you need $10 deposit once you learn the technique. You need $10 deposit, and you can do that without much, I don't want to say much effort. That sounds like I'm watering it down, making it sound easy, but it is the simplest route for a new person to do lease purchase.
Wow, for $10 down, but there's more to it than that. Like, but I guess, right. So what are you looking at? So what, if people are getting started, where are their margins on this? So like, how much money they can make doing this part-time, just starting out, if they learn this method?
Okay, so all our deals, I'll give you some hard averages.
Okay.
All our deals for our family company here, because we're doing the same thing we teach, we average around 75 grand per deal for all 3 paydays. And I'll explain what that means. We have 3 paydays per deal.
Okay.
So that's us. Now around the country, I'll give you like a broad, all the way through North America, we have a low of 45,000 and a high of upwards of 200,000 in some higher end markets. And we're down in the lower, like 75. What the heck do I mean by 3 paydays? That's important because if you're a wholesaler or a flipper, rehabbing or a builder, you get 1 check when you do a deal. So then the end of the year comes, you reset your goals, you got to go do it all again. The way we do it is we fill all our homes with tenant buyers. These are people who are going to rent to own.
Right.
But we pre-qualify them to make sure that they're going to get a loan eventually. They have a game plan. Unless they screw it up, they're going to get there. We set them up to win. So what are the 3 paydays? One is down payment. That's non-refundable. Now we know they're serious. They're a buyer. So that's payday 1 for us. Average is 27, 28 grand. Payday 2 is difference between what we're paying our seller or their underlying note and what we're collecting from our tenant buyer. $300, $400, sometimes as high as $1,000. We're closer to 300. And then payday 3 is twofold. 1, we mock the property up from what we tied it up for, of course. And 2, any underlying principal pay down throughout the term of that lease purchase or owner financing accrues to us. So that makes a big juicy payday 3. So again, that averages for us around 75 grand. So to your question, how many of those do you really need in a year to be super excited that you learn the techniques? I mean, for some people, 1, 2, 3.
And so what do you do for investors that are like, well, wait a minute, I thought lease purchase options would have been made illegal? Because I know there's some states, like in Texas, that people will tell me you can't do that anymore. Well,
you can't do a sandwich.
You can, but it's a different, it has to be structured differently, and there's certain rules that have to apply with that. So tell us a little bit about that, because I know some people hear that and they go, oh, wait a minute, they don't let you do it anymore, it's predatory. And you're like, well, no, people have, you can do it in non-predatory
what you said, Jennifer, do it right. So in Texas, you can't be in the middle of 2 leases. So you can't lease purchase it from a seller and then sell it rent own. That's a sandwich. You can't do that in Texas. You can do everything else. You can buy it subject to, you can buy it owner financing and then rent own it. You can do a lease purchase with specific terms and specific checkpoints, and there's a right of rescission. There's all kinds of nuances. So you know your nuances. We have students in Texas doing quite well.
Yeah. I know that this is done. I know somebody out of, they're out of Lago Vista, as a matter of fact, or is it north of Lago Vista? I forget.
Is that Florida?
No, Austin area.
I'm real
Austin
good at
area,
my geography.
Yeah, Florida. No, Tammy's in Florida. She's in the Orlando area. And they do something like that. That's all they do. And then we had someone on our show, Mitch Stevens, and all he does is he has a special algorithm. He's done thousands of houses. He can buy 1 or 2 a week, and he gets people in there. He just matches it to what the local rent is, and then he has a formula he uses to do that rehab, and then he does it directly with them. And then there's
just on our show too, and he did I just wrote a foreword to my revised book.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love Mitch. Everybody
guy.
loves Mitch. In fact, I need to get to San Antonio. So he's promised to take me out for steak dinner. And as much as I love to eat, you think I'd be there, but I've been really super busy. So other than this, what are some other lessons? You talked briefly about the crash. Tell us a little bit about that. You said you learned a lot of lessons. And so tell us how that affected you and how that changed your business and what you were doing.
A couple different ways, directly and indirectly. One is I almost didn't get back in real estate. I was just spent. So I said, if I was to do that, what would I do? And it was what I alluded to earlier. Okay, well, don't go take out bank loans like most people do. Don't put 20% down like most people do. Don't sign personally like most people do. So when things go, if they go awry or you mess up or the market messes up, they're not knocking on your door. You're not on anything you personally.
Right.
So the asset is there, but you're never on it. So that's number one. So the whole thing we did here is structured.
Okay, wait a minute. I just want everyone to hear that you're not on anything personally, set up a consult with me if you don't know what that means. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's good. Good transition. And then, so that's how our whole business is built, but there's a side piece of this. So all the rent to own buyers are people, for the most part, that either can't get financing today because they're self-employed and have to have some seasoning and reporting, or their credit's beat up. That's about 70% of them. So they need repair. And my wife, when we went through it, my credit went from, high sevens to in the toilet. And when we got through that, she said, you should write a book or you should help other people go through that, because that was a nightmare. Like, I had to deal with creditors and rebuild all that. So when we help buyers, it's from that standpoint, like we really give a hoot about them and we set them up to win. And I say that because you probably know the industry well enough to know a lot of people publicly. So I'm not even talking out of school. We'll say, well, you do the rent home with a buyer, and if they don't do it, it's okay. Just do another one and get another deposit. It might be okay legally, but it stinks morally and ethically. So we set them up to win, again, unless they have a major life event and they get off track. They're going to close on that house. So those two ways that crash really affected our business. And then the teaching part spawned because as a result of that, the market starts going up again. A lot of people getting back in that happy mode where real estate's an ATM and they sign personally and they don't care. They use their credit. So we're teaching this as fast and broad as we can, and then getting in the trenches with them and doing it with them, because I think there's a gap, Jennifer, like I call it the gap, but it's a time from when someone takes a course or goes to a seminar and then does a deal. And sometimes they never get on the other side. It's awful. We'll get calls every week saying, I spent X amount on courses. I never did a deal. Like, there's some big numbers. So we're trying to close that gap in a big way. It's one of our missions. And to do that, we do deals with them. We don't just sell them stuff.
Yeah, it's not just you. It's literally every expert that we end up having on the show, or I'm on their show, and you say, like, when you're talking to someone, what do you think is the biggest obstacle? And and this is like so old. If you've ever read a Zig Ziglar book, he's, for outside salespeople, they ask, what's the hardest door to open? And he's like, your car door, to get out of the car. It's you. It's just making the effort as the salesperson. So it's the same with real estate. The hardest obstacle is just getting your first deal. Once you get it done and you get over that fear or whatever it is, then it's just like a domino effect. You're in it, and you need to be in it to win it. But having the right team and having the right education is going to be pretty important for you. So how long does your process take? So let's say someone gets interested and they give you a call, then how does that onboarding and how does that work for them?
Okay, good question. We have an online academy, so they can blast through that, literally in a weekend, power do it and get through it. Or if they're part-time, they can take a couple of weeks to get through it after the learning curve. People always want to know, how fast can I do a deal now? I learned how fast can I do a deal. I've seen 30 days. That's not the norm. And I've seen a year. And back to what you said, it's them. The biggest thing is the space between their ears, right? Mm-hmm. So, because I teach the same thing. It's not, we're not teaching anything differently. It's their expectations and the space between their ears, the belief. But let's face it, if everybody thought, okay, I went through Smart Real Estate Coach course and I can do this, and they believe that emphatically and just went, they'd have a great experience if they just listened to us. But everybody lets their head get in the way. So that's the only difference. 6 months, good average.
And I would say, don't let limiting beliefs get in the way, even if you're worried. So some people will talk themselves out of anything. Well, my credit's not the best, or, my job, you never know what's going to happen with that. Yeah. I heard them talking last week that there might be a layoff, so this isn't the time to do it. I don't know what's going to happen next week. Don't let the fear of unknown stop you from doing something that's positive now. Every person I've ever talked to that's successful has had actual known fears right there staring them in the face. They were getting laid off. All this stuff was happening. Instead of just stopping and closing up with that fear, they have pushed through that. And they've said, I'm going to go for it anyway. I'm going to assume that I'm not going to fail, or this isn't going to happen, and I'm at least going to get every bit out of it. They don't stop progress on all fronts because of a fear. So don't do that if it's that you. If this resonates with you and you like that, then move forward with that. Again, we're talking to Chris Prefontaine. He is with smartrealestatecoach.com. So it's really easy to find him. Anyway, so tell us a little bit about working with family, because many real estate investors do this. I, as a crisis and business intervention coach, before I went into Leafy Legal and Asset Protection, I always tell people, don't do that. Unless you're the world's best manager and you can really manage them properly, which a lot of people need to be coached on managing. But tell me a little bit about how that works with you guys.
Yeah. So what's neat is everybody says, well, how did you like orchestrate the plan and put it all together? And I wish I could tell you I did, and I knew ahead of time, but I didn't. I was by myself, and around 2014, Nick, my son, came in just to help me like on the side with the buyer side of my properties. I was just getting overwhelmed. That grew into full time. Then Zach, my son-in-law, and Kayla, my daughter, were in the bar tending business. We have tourists here big time. So they make good money, but their lifestyle stinks, right? To be in that schedule. They came in around the end of 15 and said, hey, do you have any spots? And my answer was, there's no salaried thing here. That's not how we operate. But if you guys want to come in and give it a whirl, we'll see if it works, and we'll kind of do a per deal basis. Well, it worked great. Zach's the COO of the coaching now. Nick runs all of the properties side of things. And so we all fell into our roles that we were good at and enjoyed, and we don't even like the other roles. Like, they don't like each other's roles at all. And so it just kind of happened. Now, as far as dealing with, all of us together every day, we have, we went through a company out in Arizona called Elite Entrepreneur, really cool. And we've learned to scale and grow with them. But part of that, they have a whole bunch of things, but part of that is the mission and the values. So what's cool is, as a company, when you have family especially, but we have all the team members, when a decision comes up, there's no like sides or bias. We have a set of values, and it either matches the values or it doesn't. So, and the values were decided by the team, not by me. Mm-hmm. So everything meshes that way. That was a long answer to a good question.
No, I love the long answer to the good question. And I want to point out very pointedly that Chris is already a coach, but yet he went and got a coach for this, and a company to help them with this. So when you run a business, even if that business is just you and your spouse, or just you trying to scale, I just want to I say this all the time, but please treat it like a business. When you treat it like a business and not a hobby, it starts paying off like a business. Whether it's just, I'm going to get the business cards, I'm going to set up the right structure, I'm going to think about it like this, I'm going to think outside the box when I need help. And the fact that you listened to an outside agency and said, okay, there are values that we all share, that's hard. When you run a business correctly and you go to scale it, one of the hardest things you can do is give up control, because it's your baby. You feel like you have the vision. That's hard for me. I mean, Tammy knows. I'm pretty sure Tammy's had to wrest things from my clutching little hands, and I've had to let that go. But when you let it go, it's amazing how much more you can grow that way if all the other things are in place. If you have the good structure, then it just, it goes really, really, really well.
The coaching you mentioned, Jennifer, I can go back to that, is just enormous. Like, the best thing, I always say these three things. I don't care if you're in legal, you're opening a restaurant, you're doing real estate, it doesn't matter. This will hold. And that is, find the niche that you love, right? But then second, find someone doing it. Like, they didn't do it 20 years ago, they're doing it. And then here's the toughie. Put the blinders on for 36 months. It doesn't mean it's going to take you 36 months. It means I need that commitment, because then I know you're going to have success. Like, you can't mess that up if you do those three things. It's the third piece that people go, I saw this commercial and I can get rich tomorrow. And, the expectations get all out of whack.
Yeah, and it does. And some people work with other people. They work with investors, and they're like, want to see something now. And you do want to see, you need to have progress. You need to have like your key performance indicators, the things that if it's not happening, then it's broken, right? And you need to have those weekly and monthly. But then you also need to have a long-term plan. Like this is how much I'm willing to commit and stick it out. Yeah. Commitment, you're absolutely right. I agree with you 110%. Commitment is definitely key. So is there anything else that you would like to let us know about your website or your books? Hint, hint, or anything else?
Yeah, you gave the site. I want to give a free book. I told you off air because again, I'm into free. Like if you look into our niche and you love it, great. And if you don't, great. You didn't spend any money doing it, right? So free webinars on the website you gave, but the book, just go to free, SREC. So stands for Smart Real Estate Coach, free SREC book.com. You will get the hard copy, best-selling hardcover book, and we don't say, oh, by the way, it's free and you got to put your credit card in for shipping. We ship it. It's a little over $6 plus the book plus postage, and we'll take care of that for you. Just say that you are on the show and you heard us talking.
Okay, Leafy podcasters, that's a pretty big deal. It's a big deal when you get the shipping to you, and it's a big deal to get this information. Chris is one of the best in the business. I've known about him for 7 years now, and he is consistently wonderful. And I don't have anything else. Just thank you so much for being on the show, and we're going to let Tammy take us away.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much again, Chris, for being on the show. I've also followed you for about 7 years now, and heard you on many other podcasts, including your own. So thank you again, Jennifer, for hosting for us today. And if you would like to learn more about Chris, we will have all of his links and information in our show notes. You can find us at Leafy Legal on any of the podcasting platforms and also on social media. And if you would like to look up our website to find out more about what we do, and we do have a free ebook there that we give away. It is Leafy, like turning over a new leaf, Leafy at leafylegalservices.com. That's it. So thank you all again so much for listening in today, and I hope you have a great week, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Attention real estate investors and entrepreneurs. Did you know that real estate investors are a primary target for lawsuits? According to the National Survey of the Court data, 25% of Americans risk being sued in their lifetime. However, if you are a real estate investor, you have a 95% chance of being sued in the next 20 years. Leafy Legal Services helps you protect your assets and strategically grow your business and wealth. Leafy Legal Services are experts at the Series LLC and Delaware Statutory Trust, two of the newest and most ideal legal structures for real estate investors. Leafy Legal Services have the most personalized and affordable solutions for setting up LLCs. Property owners are always at risk when it comes to their assets. Anonymity is so important. If you own just a rental house and you own your home, you have to protect yourself and your properties from any potential legal issues. Leafy Legal Services have the right solutions to make sure you are happy and feel secure. They offer cost-effective documentation that suits their clients' needs. For a free consultation and ebook, visit leafylegalservices.com. They are waiting to hear from you. leafylegalservices.com.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Don't wait. Take action now. leafylegalservices.com. Protect your assets, grow your business, and manage your wealth.